What's going on, guys? Max Settings here, and welcome back to another review. In today's review, we are going to be taking a look at the Burson Conductor 3XP here. Now, before we get into today's review, I just need to give a big shout out to Burson for providing this for review. Burson loaned me this unit in exchange for a completely honest review, and I will be returning it to them when I am done. So once again, big thanks to them for providing the 3XP for review. Now, the Conductor 3XP, or 3X Performance as it is known by, is a bit of an interesting unit because it is a all-in-one DAC amp combo that is Class A and also has a microphone input, which is very unusual for DAC amp combos, particularly ones at this price point. The 3X Performance here is coming in at $1,344. And normally the microphone inputs on DAC amps are more on the low end stuff, like the Shit Full of 3, the Shit Hell, Mayflower Arc, Sennheiser GSX 1000, things like that. But here we have it on a very, very expensive Class A DAC amp combo of all things. So let's go ahead and do basic specs here, and then we will get into talking about this unit. So as already mentioned, it's coming in at $1,345. It is a Class A amplifier. Through the XLR, you get 6 watts at 13 ohms, 3 watts at 32 ohms, 1 watt at 100 ohms, 660 milliwatts at 150 ohms, and 330 milliwatts at 300 ohms. Out of the single-ended, you get 3 watts at 16 ohm, 1.5 watts at 32, half a watt at 100, 330 milliwatts at 150, and 115 milliwatt at 300. Output impedance of 0.5 ohm, and for its DAC, it is using a ESS 9038. It also supports up to DSD 512 and aptX Bluetooth with Bluetooth 5.0. Okay, so now Burson asked me to talk about their MCPS technology with this unit. So I will read this little excerpt from their website explaining what it is. So Burson basically alleges that since the main power has a 50 to 60 hertz working frequency, a traditional linear power supply changes the discharges 50 to 60 times each second. This frequency is within human hearing, hence extremely noisy. Furthermore, this rate of changing is too slow for audio amplification to mitigate. Audio engineers use a large number of capacitors, which presents other problems without removing the root cause. The Burson MCPS increases the working frequency to 170 kilohertz. Any noise at this frequency is well above the human hearing threshold of 20 kilohertz. The result is pitch black soundstage, critical for micro details to shine through. So essentially, instead of using capacitors and other things to remove the 50 to 60 hertz electrical hum from the wall, they resample it up to 170 kilohertz, which is out of the range of human hearing, in order to remove the noise. Now, it certainly doesn't have any noise, but how much that really matters, who knows, but it does the job, and they asked me to highlight it, so I have done so. Okay, so then moving into the build of the 3XP. The 3XP feels very solid in the hand. It is a completely metal chassis, as you can see. It has a knurled volume knob with a little screen, and it kind of has this fin pattern on it, as you can see in the B-roll shots. On the front, you have a XLR out, a 1/4-inch headphone out, and a 3.5 millimeter headphone out with a microphone input. And on the back, you have XLR outs. You have your RCA outs, and you also have a optical input, a RCA coaxial input, and a USB-C input. This is the first DAC I have reviewed with the USB-C input, as well as the power input and the Bluetooth antenna. Now, as for basic operation of this unit, I really don't like the volume knob. The range of volume on it is very weird. So you start out at 0, there's no sound. You go to 1, and on most headphones it goes from like nothing to like 50 to 60 dB. And then after that, the steps of volume are so incredibly small. It seems like it's going up by like less than half a decibel for each step. So you go from like nothing to like 50 dB at 1, and then to go to like 80, you have to go up to like 40. It takes so long. As you can see, it's like it takes a really long time to roll through the volume ranges with this knob. I wish the knob had like acceleration instead of just being linear clicks. Now, there is one solution to this problem, which is the remote control that is included. And the remote has volume up, volume down, input switch, and mute. And when using the remote, it rolls through them a little bit faster, but it is still pretty slow to go up and through the volume range. So that is my critique of the volume range on this. And then you also have your menus, which you can select your input, your output, preamp mode, and your filters, but we won't get too into that for the sake of time. And then, as I mentioned, the thing that makes this very interesting is the microphone input. Now, I don't know who needs a combo microphone headphone out with this much power for their gaming headphones, because there really isn't anything out there that needs this much power that has a inline mic, at least to my knowledge. I mean, even the LCD GX is not very hard to drive. I guess maybe if you put that cable on like an LCD4 or something, but still, you really don't need this much power. But this does make it an interesting option for people that maybe also game and want to use something like this Sennheiser PC38X, which just came out, because this will work with the built-in mic input. So that could be an interesting option for people who maybe want to use high-end headphones, but then also have a gaming headset or something that they want to use through the mic input. Although I feel like most people that are spending $1,350 on a DAC amp probably are going to be using dedicated mics. Okay, so now for how does the 3X performance sound? So I haven't really had too many other DAC amp combos of this price point in for testing, so I don't have too much context, so I'm not really going to do much of a comparative review, more so just my general thoughts of it. Now, does it sound bad in any way? No, not really. I think it's a decent sounding unit all in all. It has a bit of a warm, bright tilt to it, kind of similar to like an IFI product. It kind of reminds me of IFI type house sound in a way. It is not a really like glary sound that a lot of people expect out of an ESS Saber DAC, because a lot of ESS DACs I hear have a bit of a glare that can be annoying. But the Conductor 3XP does not seem to really have much of that. And I compared it against the Magnus Modius stack here that is sitting on top of it. And it is definitely a bit of an improvement over the Magnus Modius, as I would expect for its price point. It is, all in all, a decent sounding unit. My one complaint with it is it seems to be lacking a little bit in macro dynamics. It is not incredibly punchy. The bass feels a little bit soft compared to the Magnus Modius. But all in all, the overall detailing and staging is good. Do I think you could probably beat it for its price point with dedicated units? Yeah, I think you could. But if you want a really powerful Class A DAC amp combo with Bluetooth and a mic input for whatever reason, I mean, what other option do you have? This is the one. I mean, Burson has even higher end units, but there really is nothing that competes with this out in the market. It's an extremely niche product, but for those of you that I guess have very limited desk space and want something that can power pretty much any headphone and has a microphone input for your gaming headset that also sounds pretty decent, here you go. If you're one of those people, the 3XP gets my recommendation. It is a decent sounding all-in-one unit that kind of reminds me of like that IFI warm bright sound that does decently well in terms of technical performance, but it's going to be a very, very niche product with a very limited customer base, in my opinion. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed my review of the Conductor 3XP. Once again, thanks to Burson for providing this for review. Links of where to buy this in the description below, as well as my Twitter, my contact email, and all other relevant information. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the review. Look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.